Hello, everyone, and welcome to a monumental, absolutely monumental episode of Records and Rants. We're just going to get right into it. My name is Ice, and with me today, as always, is Dixon. How are you?
Ice, great to be here. Wrapping up our Bob Dylan expose, if you will, our series, our deep dive. It's been a hell of a ride.
It really has, and this is the phase 4, or the final 4 of Bob Dylan. And what phase would you call this? What would you say that this is of Bob Dylan?
Boy, it's so hard to. This is oh man, this is peaks and valleys of Bob Dylan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's we talk about his kind of his career slump.
Sure.
The high points and where he's headed now currently.
Now I'm gonna say this. And we'll get into this. I was shocked at some of the things I heard on this list, and actually I was shocked by what I liked the most. And we'll definitely get into that. And guys, okay, so right now we got to take a sidestep really quick, and I'm going to put a timestamp right here. It's going to be right on the screen. You can skip to this to get to the Phase 4 Bob Dylan talk, but I got to get into this right now and issue a huge, massive congratulations to Dixon and soon to be Mrs. Dixon. I have to congratulate them on their engagement. This is big. This is huge. This is a show first right now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, because you had gotten engaged a few months ago, and now I have gotten engaged. So we're both off the market, ladies.
Yeah, sorry.
Stay out of the comments.
Please, for the love of God. I know you hear our nice, sultry, raspy voices, and you just want to hop on. But sorry. The train's left the station. I mean, I don't know what to say, but other than congratulations, and this is a long time coming. I'm very excited. So how'd you feel in the moment? What happened? Because I know it was going through my head when I proposed, but I'm wondering how it went down for you. Were you nervous? Was she shocked? What happened?
I was a little nervous. And I hate to say this, but I was pretty confident in the yes response because we've been together for so long.
Yeah, how could she say no? I mean,
I mean, she hasn't left by now. I mean, you've been with us literally. We've talked about this. We talked about this BTS, but you were there the night I met her.
Yeah.
Which was at a country music concert.
Yep.
And you've been together. We've been together throughout our friendship, and it's funny because you meet new people. People come and go. Things change, but we've been consistently friends throughout the entirety of this relationship, which is huge.
I know, that's crazy.
So the future Mrs. Dixon, her family was there. We were at a collegiate football game.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And we were tailgating beforehand, and I proposed right as the sun was rising in the tailgate field. So it was a nice moment. Lighting was on point. Everything was good. Some tears shed initially, but it was all good, and that was good. I did under the guise of let's toss the football around.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Right, yeah. And for some reason, everybody understood that, and everybody just kind of sat there for a moment watching us.
Really? Wait. So did they know what was happening, or did they?
They knew it was happening. Yes,
but they didn't know what you were gonna do, like when you were gonna do it. Okay.
No, I had no idea. So this was a plan. This was organized. This was a few weeks of planning to make sure everybody was on board. Everybody was there. Wow. I wanted it to be like a nice family thing. You know, we don't live immediately near our family, so it was a good time to do that and get everybody together.
Yeah.
So for some reason, everybody knew that when I started tossing the football, that was it. And then so there were some good photographs and everything else. And so that was it. So here we are.
That's really good. I'm just picturing you saying, "Oh, let's go toss the football," and then everyone just circling around you guys, just waiting for you to.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like enough already. It's like it just had to be done, and it was the right thing to do after, like I said, almost 10 years of being together. So we're excited. We're looking forward to what the future holds. We'll see how it goes. So I appreciate the congratulations and the shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll see how long that lasts, and we hope that. No, I'm just kidding. Like you said. I mean, if you guys haven't split up by now, you guys have been through thick and thin, and I'm really glad you guys are together. So, yeah, I
appreciate it.
From us and everyone here at the Ice and Dixon Studios.
Thank you.
Records and Rants.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you drop a comment below? Big shout out to Dixon. Congratulations. But
yeah, drop a comment. Let us know where you think I'm going to get married.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, maybe get Bob Dylan to play at your at your wedding.
You know what? Bob Dylan may make an appearance in terms of one or two songs. You never know.
Okay, all right. I'm
You
looking
know,
forward to it.
he doesn't really have too many. I don't think really love songs. They're more like angry, like
Yeah.
get that you're out of my life and I hate you kind of thing. So maybe we'll save that for
Yeah,
a few years down the road, but we'll see how it goes.
A few years down, we'll play it at the divorce party or something.
Like I said, within 5 years, we're talking about this BTS. And you, your brother, myself, we're all kind of coming up in our marriages relatively at the same time. We'll see how we fare the next 5 years and see what happens.
Well, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so okay, this is the timestamp now. This is what? Okay, this is 5:51. I got to remember this. I got to put it in for the folks. But yeah, so you gave me this list, and you would say, I think you mentioned this as the, I forget what you said actually. The Americana or the Bob Dylan era or something. Something like that.
So yeah, let's so if we our first previous episodes, we kind of did a general breakdown of Bob Dylan and his career. You kind of identified Bob Dylan as like the ultimate troll because his career has been so varied and all over the place. So we kind of talked about that. Then our first phase was where Bob Dylan started, his folk music, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The next phase was rock and roll era once he went electric to Blood on the Tracks, which was 75. And now this is 76 to present day. Well, I guess 2020. So the later half of Dylan's career, the last 20 years or so, has been American Roots, that kind of thing.
American Roots.
Before
that's what
that,
you said, yeah.
Yeah, American Roots, right? Yeah. So then from like the late 70s to like the early 90s, like 99, like 90, he had kind of like this career slump where he really wasn't doing all that great. His albums were kind of panned by critics. He had a lot of compilations, like traditional folk compilations he did. So it's an interesting time, and I really wanted to include. It's such a broad era, but I wanted you to get a flavor for everything because there's a couple albums I was going to gloss over, and there's actually a song I forgot to include, but we'll get to that once we get into it. But sort of a flavor from post-electric Dylan to right now. That's kind of where we're headed.
Okay, so I see. Now from the selection of songs that you gave me,
yes,
I think I'll, maybe I'll just put up like a little picture here to see the list the sample that you gave me. I'll just put it up as a static image so everyone could understand what we're talking about. But now, when I was listening through this, I don't know if you put them in order or what happened,
yes.
But I feel like as I was listening to them, I went through like different stages. So I feel like I was at the beginning of it. Songs like now I don't know if there's interspersed in here, but some of the songs like You Ain't Going, Hurricane, one of my favorite songs.
Good.
Where Are You Tonight, Gotta Serve Somebody, Heart of Mine, like all those. I feel like there was some folk influence on it. Maybe I'm just like missing that. Like I feel like it was back to. Maybe not necessarily back to his roots, but I felt like kind of like a folk influence. And then later on in some of the songs, I found like a blues rock, I guess you could say, like the like the whatever you want to call it. There was even some like like I felt like Bad to the Bone was like playing in the back of my head when I was listening to some of the songs, like when he got that really raspy voice, and I was like, this is verging very close to like ZZ Top or something like that. And then then it got very strange because he started singing. It was he was singing very slowly, and I felt like I was in a lounge. I felt like I was in a jazz lounge, and surprisingly. Those are some of my favorite songs.
Yeah, and definitely. Your assessments are spot on here. It's the truth.
Really? Okay, that's great. Yeah, and out of that group, I would say it had to be You. That is probably honestly, it might be one of my favorite songs out of all of this because I don't know. I just it just brought me to an era of music that I don't feel like I even lived through, but I felt nostalgia for it in a weird way. It was like a comforting kind of song. I don't even know how to explain it, but it was just hearing Bob Dylan, I guess, sing like it's not even lounge music, just jazz. I don't even know how to describe it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like he was like crooning, and that's interesting you say that,
Yeah.
because that comes from a compilation album of like Sinatra and jazz standards that he covered. It was like, I think like 3 or 4
Really?
discs,
Okay.
or it was a double album or something like that. So that was his era, and I think he did that another time. But he recorded like Sinatra songs and jazz standards and things from like the 30s and 40s and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I saw him on that tour, and it was great to see him on that tour because he kind of like split it up. It was like half jazz standards, half American classics, and then
Okay.
like Dylan stuff. And but it wasn't like seeing Bob Dylan. Like, it wasn't like a Bob Dylan show. It was like, I don't know, like a Bob Dylan, like, I don't know, tribute show almost. Like, he came out usually, and I sent you a couple of those videos just so you saw him live, but like, he usually stands behind like a keyboard or an organ.
Yeah, yeah.
Here he was out front. He had the microphone. He's in a suit. He's like amazingly bow-legged. Like he's like, looks like he's gonna fall over. And he just kind of crooning with that microphone. It was a good tour. It was a good experience, but it wasn't a Bob Dylan thing. And I also like that. I like that album and that song as well, because like you said, it's a totally different flavor. It's like, okay, this is like a grizzled lounge act kind of doing his thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I 100% did not expect that. That was like when I started listening to those songs, I'm like, wow, it was like a Bob Dylan that I didn't even know that I wanted, if that makes any sense. It was it was different, very different.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that, because you're absolutely right. How would you know that? Oh, wow, this could work for Bob Dylan, and sure enough, it does.
I would never ever think that.
It's the truth.
Yeah, and I was as I was listening to his slower kind of music, I was thinking what I could relate it to, and I couldn't really I couldn't think of anything to put it closest to. Do you have any kind of music or genre or band that you could relate that type of Bob Dylan to?
I don't know if I do. And that's the thing about Bob Dylan, is that I don't think you can relate him to a lot of stuff. That's why we're spending our hours and hours and hours for your pleasure and our listeners deep diving this, because the career is so varied. And that's the thing is, and he hates being peg-holed. He hates being like, okay, he's the voice of a generation. So I don't know if we talked about this in the first episode, but when they were talking about making the film, I'm Not There, which is 4 different actors playing Bob Dylan at various stages of his career, the filmmaker approached his manager or somebody and said, "Hey, how do I get Bob Dylan to sign off on this project?" He's like, "Don't say that he's the voice of a generation. Don't say that he's the best of all time. Just don't say that, because it's going to turn him right off."
Wow.
Like, he hates being like pigeonholed, which is really interesting to me. He wants to reinvent himself.
That is really interesting. So if anyone even said that to him, he would just get pissed off and say, "I'm not doing this."
Yeah.
Wow.
He'd be done. It's over. It's over, because he does his thing and that's it.
Yeah, because I feel like he probably sees it as a threat. Like, well, you're not going to tell me what to do. I am who I am, and I make my music. And this is like a tone that has been set, I think, by him throughout listening to all of his music, is that you really can't pin him down. Even if you didn't know that, even if you didn't know that Bob Dylan said that, if you listen to his music, he cannot be pinned down.
Right. No, that's the truth. And that's absolutely right. And that's the thing is, we kind of went, and I have to make just a few notes for you on this list. You Ain't Going Nowhere is from the Basement Tapes.
Okay.
The Basement Tapes is like, I think it's a double album. And that was recordings from Dylan and the band at his farm in Woodstock, New York. And that was like after his electric, post-electric, as he's getting into electric, psychedelic type of era of the 60s. Mm-hmm. So it's really heavy on the band, that album.
Yes.
But it's one of these albums that has been written about and dissected and talked about. And, oh, what if they did this? It's basically like demos and what they were going to record or what they should have recorded. And it's funny because I think his divorce is still very much hanging with him towards this mid to late 70s and stuff. You have the song Sarah, Where Are You Tonight? He's still focused on this divorce, Sarah Dillon, that kind of thing. So then we get into good.
Oh, no, sorry. I was going to say, so he has had a hard time getting past that. I mean, I know we listened to it in the last era, but it's still with him kind of. is what you're saying.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we start to get into his Christian trilogy. He has a couple albums. He has, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So believe it or not, "Gotta Serve Somebody" is supposed to be a religious song. "Where Are You Tonight?" That kind of thing. "Pressing On." These are songs
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
his religious trilogy, what they call it. After "Desire," he gets into "Slow Train Coming," and then "Slow Train Coming," and then you have "Saved," and then you have "Shot of Love." That's 79, 80, and 81. So, and "Saved" is an overtly Christian cover. It's a hand reaching down into other hands.
Yeah.
Which I guess they changed it when they released it somewhere somehow. But so he gets into that, and then after that, kind of like just drops off. Just kind of, he has like these mid-career slump. He's seems like he's rushing albums. He seems like he's putting things together. He does a lot of those cover compilations like we were talking about. Then we get into, what is it? Is it Time Out of Mind? Time Out of Mind 97 was really, really a great album. That's the song "Lovesick." And then I think you have another one on there too. You have "Lovesick," and you have, "Not Dark Yet" is also on Time Out of Mind. And then "World Gone Wrong" was a compilation. What is the album I'm looking for that it was kind of like a comeback? Was it "Oh Mercy"? Yes. So this, "Oh Mercy." "Oh Mercy" is the album. That was 1989, and that's kind of like a return to where Bob Dylan is, where he should be. Original cover, strong original songs, strong material, kind of returning back to where we kind of left Dylan before that mid-career issues that he's kind of had.
Okay, so he's you'd say now he's returning back to his before the slump is what you're saying.
Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of like where he's and on "Oh Mercy," he's kind of getting back to his deal. We also have to mention at this time, early 80s, he's the backing band for Tom Petty for a tour.
Yeah.
Tom Petty is his backing band for a tour. He's playing some shows with the Grateful Dead. Right after, in 75, 76, he does Rolling Thunder Review, that tour. So Dylan, I remember I sent you a video just to watch, just to kind of look at how he was dressing, how the band was set up, how he was yelling in the microphone. And so that's that era of Dylan too. So he's kind of focused. He's kind of putting his creativity in different aspects as opposed to just writing albums and doing this thing. He's looking for different outlets, I think, with his tours and different things. So he's kind of varied at this point. And then he gets back into his songwriting, releasing really strong material late 90s, early 2000s.
And so where do we see Dylan now? Has he what's the latest thing that he's released?
So the latest thing he's released is "Rough and Rowdy Ways," which came out in 2020.
Oh, so that's relatively recently then.
Yes. So that was the song I sent you, if I'm correct. I sent you Key West, "Philosopher Pirate."
Really? So that's from 2020.
Yep, you got it.
I'm actually kind of shocked by that because you can't tell what era Bob Dylan has recorded these songs. At least I can. As someone who's just outside looking in, I had no idea that this was a more recently recorded song.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like it all melts. It's weird. It's like, I want to say it's timeless because it just is Bob Dylan. I'm not trying to sound pretentious or anything, but you listen to this music and it's Bob Dylan. And to me, not knowing anything about him, this could have been recorded in the 60s, the 70s, 80s, whenever. I would have no clue if you asked me, because it just sounds like Bob Dylan, and he's doing what he does. There's no to me at least, it doesn't seem like there's any contemporary influence. There's no like modern influence on his music.
Yeah, you said, like, you hate to sound pretentious, but it's like it's his own genre.
Yeah,
he has his own things of what he wants to do. So who the heck knows?
Yeah, definitely. And so when I was saying that I liked some of his slower music, what era would you say that was from? Was that some of his weaker stuff? Would you say, like, do you like that kind of Bob Dylan, or what's your view on that?
I do. I think like from Time Out of Mind.
Sorry, 1 second.
Okay.
All right, I'm really sorry about that.
No good.
Okay. Yeah, no, the dog was just going crazy. Did you hear him in the background?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. Maybe I could just keep recording then.
Poor, poor bandit.
I don't even know what the hell he was barking at.
So we were talking about. Do I think his slow stuff is good or something like that?
Oh yeah, okay. I'll just ask it again. Actually, well, you can continue your answer because I have that recorded, so that'll work.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So I think, his American roots stuff. That era, those songs I sent you. It's not dark yet. Lovesick. Starting from there, and then getting into his some of his other compilations in American roots, and then into his traditional standards. It just works well, and I think it works well because it's like it's a vibe. It's like a sound. I could see this guy singing these songs. You know what I mean? Like Lovesick. Like I'm sick of love. I'm whatever. Thunder on the Mountain. Like the guy's been through some stuff, and he's putting his pen to paper and writing songs for you. It just makes sense for that. For this era of Bob Dylan to occur now, because I think it is. I think it's a return to tradition. I think it's a return to songwriting. And we talked about his other creative outlets. He was in the Highwaymen. He was in a few different projects. He's writing songs for films, in the '90s and early 2000s. So he's kind of, I think, putting it all together and going back to where he wants to, I think, started. And he said it before in Scorsese's documentary, his first documentary, No Direction Home. He's like, I was born a long way from where I'm supposed to be, so I'm trying to get back home. So whatever that means to you.
Whatever. Okay.
What that means to you, I don't know.
Really nebulous thought there.
Yeah. So whatever that means to you, but I think it just kind of makes sense. I don't know. And it's funny because I've only ever seen Bob Dylan. I've seen him a handful of times live, and every time I've seen him, I think since 2000 and when did I see him first? 2009? 2009.
Mm-hmm.
He's gotten better every time I've seen him, and energy-wise, vibe-wise, everything else going on. It just that kind of all comes together, and it's weird because I neglected to send you. What was the name of that song I want to send you? Most of the time. Most of the time is a song that came from this late 90s, early 2000s era Bob Dylan, where he's like, I don't even think about her most of the time. And
wow.
There's a bootleg series that he has. It's called I forget what it is, but it covers his late 90s era up to 2006. And there's so many good outtakes on the bootleg series that could be an album itself.
I would love to hear the outtakes from Bob Dylan's concert. I would absolutely love to hear that.
Yeah, and I sent you the one Mississippi, the first outtake. Like that to me is just, that should have been the song, and it's slow and it's mellow, and it just kind of works well. Huck's tune, which this is just another example. Not to keep drowning on, but like, Bob Dylan just kind of does what he wants, right? Yeah. Huck's tune is from a movie called Lucky You, and that came out in it came out in 2007, right?
Okay. So
it came out in 2007. The main character is this guy Huck. I've never seen the movie. I guess it flopped at the box office completely.
Oh.
But he's records the song 2006 whatever for the 2007 film. He plays it for the first time ever in Japan in 2014. Like the first time ever it was performed live was in 2014 in Japan.
That's crazy.
So years after it's initially released for a film, he plays it in Japan for the first time ever. It's like, I'm just I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna play this song today.
I love it. There's no rhyme or reason to what he does, I swear.
Yeah, it's the truth. And it's like, if you look at, if you go on his website, they have every set list of every concert he's ever played.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at any set list. So it's funny because recently he'll go over to places like Japan and everywhere else, and he'll play "Blowing in the Wind." And then he comes to America and he doesn't play "Blowing in the Wind." It's like, what connection do the Japanese people have to the song "Blowing in the Wind"?
Yeah, because if he's doing this, he's doing it purposely. If he does it many times, so I don't know. I just think he's a troll. I'd be like, well, wouldn't it be funny if I did this, play this in Japan and they have no relation to it at all?
That's the one album we discussed in the last episode was the self-portrait, and it's the cover art is presumably a self-portrait that Bob Dylan drew himself, and it's really kind of like a shitty album, and it's just like a troll move, like you said.
It's incredible. Again, after just listening to all this music, I still don't know the man. I don't. I can't grasp it. It's still an enigma. And I think that's what I want Bob Dylan to be, at least for me, because I feel like that keeps the it just keeps you interested, I guess is what you could say. And I don't know if he's doing this purposely or what it is, but he is he's an interesting guy. But
Yeah.
there's just two more things I wanted to discuss regarding this list. The first one is the change in voice, and I gotta bring that up. What is up with the raspy voice? Is this when he quit smoking, or he was smoking, or you discussed this, I think, on the last show?
I don't know. Yeah, the raspiness I think is a result of just years of abuse. Last I don't know if he still smokes, but he was like smoking when he was on tour with John Mellencamp, which was I think 2009, and I don't know if he still smokes. I think that changes vocal cords, but being who Bob Dylan is, obviously there's an evolution and a biological component to that, but I think there's also just like, this sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I think he's doing.
It's like, I think there's an aspect of that, I definitely do.
I think so too, and I think the music that he was playing, it kind of fit what he was going for. I
absolutely.
guess it's like he evolves his voice to fit the music that he's making. That's what it feels like to me, at least.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this sounds pretty good. I'm going to do this. He's talked about Brian Wilson, which I know you're a big fan of. He's talking about Brian Wilson using the studio as an instrument. I think Bob Dylan uses his voice as an instrument as part of his recordings and things like that.
I totally agree, because with the changes, like I said, it just fits. But at the same time, it's entertaining though, because I'm just thinking, this guy he didn't sound like this 10 minutes ago when I was listening to him.
Right, exactly, 100%.
It's absolutely incredible. And okay, there's something interesting that I want to get into with this, and a Hurricane. I think everyone knows this Bob Dylan song. This is one of my favorite ones too. It's a classic, absolute classic.
Right.
However, I have to say this.
Okay.
He does drop the N-word.
Yes, he does drop the N-word.
Just a casual N-bomb he drops, and I have to ask, during this time, was that not frowned? And he obviously isn't racist because he made this song, because of the story behind the song, obviously. He's a very progressive person. I don't think he meant any offense by it, but at the same time, if you did that now, even if you were making a song supporting, black people, African Americans, people of color, whatever you want to say, I feel like it would still be frowned upon if you said.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah. So was this frowned upon? Was this controversial at all?
I haven't delved that much into it.
Okay.
I think there was, but let me tell you this. Let me liken this to something else. So, what the heck is the name of the band? Oh, Mark Knopfler's band, Dire Straits.
Dire Straits, okay.
So, Dire Straits. So they have a song. You've definitely heard it. I want my MTV. Yeah, I want my right. So in the song, he uses the F word, a slur for a homosexual man.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, he does.
Right. So in that song, he's like, yeah, people kind of because there's radio stations and record compilations that eliminate that word,
yes,
or they don't play it because of that.
Yeah,
Knopfler says, he goes, you're totally getting the wrong thing, because this is the perspective of somebody watching this, and this is what that person is saying. It's an artistic expression. It's an artistic interpretation. If you're in this mindset where you think that these guys who are just basically losers, that's probably what you're going to say. So I think that's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Same scenario of that. Now, granted, now I'm reading into this really quick. It looks like there was some offending lyrics that were removed based on some legal action, those kind of things.
Oh, boy.
But there's a reporter that says he questioned Dylan's objectivity at the time of the song's release and accused him of excessive poetic license. So it could be that there is that, okay, where do we begin? Where do we draw the line between art and you're just being like a dick, because even John Lennon, there's rumors that John Lennon was incredibly racist and not all that good of a guy overall.
Okay.
Yoko Ono and John Lennon had a song, "Woman is the N word of the world,"
Wow, okay, that's a
and
little
a little
okay. I
extreme,
never
right?
heard of that. All right.
And funny because he played it like it's like I think it's one of his first solo concerts or his last solo concert at Madison Square Garden, and that was on the set list.
Oh my goodness.
He also would
Ooh.
wear those army fatigues that he claimed somebody gave him. Like I don't know. So
Yeah.
overall, I don't think John. I've always admired John Lennon. The more I'm learning about him, I don't think he was that great of a guy. But once again, when does art and you know being an asshole or hate speech begin? That kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that, and I would totally defend Bob Dylan here because he is like if you look at the line, he literally
Yes.
says and and he to them he was just a crazy
Yes.
whatever. So I don't think he's means offense by it, but I mean Yoko Ono saying this is I'm not a fan of Yoko Ono, to be honest with you. I
No.
could see her just being not even just saying like, oh, I'm gonna say the N word, just being a pretentious asshole. That's what I think
Yes.
Yoko Ono is being here. Like, oh,
Yes.
women are suffering. Whatever she's trying to say here, I could just see
Whatever she's
her.
trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think that's why people. I think that's why people got upset with what I'm reading here quick about
Right.
Dylan's interpretation of the song is that he kind of is taking the perspective of, oh, was there a failure at the law enforcement level, the systemic level? What was the issue? And he's kind of had more of an issue with that he's giving his interpretation and what everybody thought or what they think might have happened. Where that's all hearsay if you're in the legal proceeding kind of deal.
I see. Okay, I got you.
So, but yeah, no,
Yeah, no,
I thought your assessment before was spot on.
oh, thank you, thank you.
After all I've listened to, read, devoured, I still don't understand who Bob Dylan is. I think I think, like I said, I think that's great. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
how an artist should be, the ultimate artist that they're constantly developing, redeveloping. You don't know what they're going to come up with, and if you don't like it, he really doesn't care.
Yeah,
He's
he
kind of
does.
going to do his thing.
Right, absolutely, and
Yeah.
I think I love that about him. And if I had to give an overall impression on Bob Dylan after I listened to all this music, all these songs, we talked about him for hours in the locked in the basement here. The guys, by the way, this is all in one recording, all 24 hours. We did this all in one sitting. but no, my my overall impression, I have a few, but if I had to summarize it, I would say. And I'm trying the hardest not to sound pretentious, but I
Right.
would say Bob Dylan is a true artist in probably one of the truest sense of the words. And whether or not you like his music, you have to respect the man because, like you said, he's constantly evolving. He's
Yep.
not just doing the same thing over and over again. He does what he wants, and it looks like he's constantly experimenting. And then on top of that, I'm looking at how much he tours. The man still tours constantly. I'm looking
Yeah,
at 2022. It's every single day he's out on tour. So Germany,
never-ending
London,
tour.
yeah, it's actually incredible. So I would say in that aspect, I think he really does care about his craft, and I think also one of the biggest things is that I think a little bit of trolling goes on in there as well.
Yeah.
I think he probably feels like a lot of people, like you said, they take it seriously and they try to put him into like a peg hole, and they say this is what you are, or like we're gonna classify you as this, and then he fights back and he trolls them at the same time.
Right.
So I think he's a very interesting guy, and again, I think the biggest thing is you have to respect the man for being able to make a household name for himself while also constantly evolving his craft over the years.
No, that's spot on. You're absolutely right. And that's just to go back to what you said. Is like I think one of the reasons why I want to do this is because you as a producer, as a musician, you got to at least listen to some of this stuff just to kind of just get a feel for it, And like you said, that's kind of goes along with it. You just got to regardless if you like it, you just got to check it out and at the very least respect it and see what happens. So there we go. So that's
absolutely.
Kind of why we wanted a deep dive, and hopefully you enjoyed this journey.
Yeah,
out
guys.
there. Drop your comment of your favorite Bob Dylan album, favorite Bob Dylan song, favorite Bob Dylan moment. And we'll bring it up on the next show.
Yeah, that's the next one. It's going to be never ending Bob Dylan. That's what this whole channel is going to turn into.
I do have a Bob Dylan story I have to tell you behind the scenes. It's good. It's pretty. It's
I
pretty
can't.
niche.
I
Pretty
can't
pretty
wait.
niche and regional.
How awesome would it be if Bob Dylan found this somehow? I might maybe I should tweet this at him and say, hey, we talked about you for 24 hours straight. Tweet the whole series. He would probably look and be like, he probably just take us on tour, just for fun. Oh yeah, so these guys have 10 views. Let me just take them on tour with me.
Yeah, it'll be either he's completely disgusted, or he's like, give these guys a call, see what they say. That's before Kanye was canceled. That's I feel like that's what he used to do. Like, you send him a DM, he's like, yeah, I like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but you're right. He'll either be completely, totally, utterly disgusted, or he would be like, yeah, okay, yeah, give him a call. Yeah,
I love it. That's great.
That was a lot of fun. But I'm sure we'll hit on some more Dylan stuff later, because I think later on in our never-ending series here, I think I'd like to listen to one of his, if you picked out an album that was, you would say, the quintessential, I think I'd like to listen to that and explore Bob Dylan albums in a full one by one set list. I think that'd be fun.
It'll be fun, definitely. Yeah. No, because you're an album boy. You like albums.
I know, I do. I'm an album boy.
Awesome.
Yeah,
well, congratulations on a good series.
Oh yeah, congratulations, guys! We made it. We did it.
Wonderful.
That was fun. I guess we're at the rant part. I just have a quick thing that I wanted to bring into the show. Now it's speaking of trolls.
Okay.
Elon Musk and Twitter. Okay,
Oof,
we've all heard about this. So it's finally gone through after this dancing back and forth. It seems like he was buying Twitter, then Twitter said no. Then they're like, okay, actually we're gonna give it to you. Then he's like, oh wait, no, there's bots on here. We got to come back. And who knows what the hell actually happened? And who knows if he actually made a good deal? If this is actually profitable for him? We don't know. I feel like Elon is almost just flexing, saying you're hurting free speech, so I'm just gonna buy this platform and make it unmoderated.
Yeah.
And he's really sticking it, I think, to the to the leftists on Twitter, because think about this. Now, this is what I wanted to talk about. He is taking the blue check mark and making it a subscription service. Did you hear about this?
I did hear about that. I think it's brilliant.
I think it's fantastic too. It is the biggest, I would say, finger. And if you asked Elon, I bet he would say, oh, well, it's just a profitable move, blah, blah, blah. But I think in reality, he's just sticking it to the blue check marks, because if you ever were on Twitter, which I don't recommend, people with blue check marks, they kind of assert themselves above you if you don't have one. Does that make any? 100%. Have you ever encountered these people?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I've encountered. I used to go back and forth with this one. From whatever the New York Times or something. Or maybe she was just a writer, and it was about CVID data, and she would respond to me.
Yeah.
And I would just keep providing data, and she just didn't really want to hear any of the data. And I think that Elon recognizes the fact that the people that are on Twitter think that Twitter is society, that it's world, it's like the world, and has no basis for how people act, vote, think. But they think because they have the blue check, oh, I'm going to spout off, and these people are going to agree with it. They're going to love it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think that they've used that as a power imbalance. It's kind of like, well, I'm going to rally all my goons because I'm a blue check mark, and if people see if people see me with a blue check mark and they agree with my opinion, they're all going to rally to me, and I'm gonna dump on this person who has 1/10 of the following that I do.
Right.
And I think they've really wielded that as a sword against people that they disagree with, but now Elon Musk is taking that and making them pay for it.
Yeah,
because he used to just have
huge.
And it was a very biased process. And I know this because a lot of people used to complain about it. You could have a huge following, you could have a lot of followers, whatever. But it was very hard for right wing people to get that blue check mark. I don't know what you had to go through for that. Do you know what you had to do to get it? Prior to this?
I don't know either. I have no clue. I know it was a certain amount of followers. They had the verified account, so you're like, verify me, Twitter or whatever. But like you said, the verification, who was verified and who wasn't, seemed like it was pretty skewed.
Yeah, it was because you could find some journalists, some left wing journalists, and they might have 10,000 followers, and they'd be verified. But then
Right.
you have some right wing person who has 10 times the amount, and they wouldn't be.
Yes. Yes.
I never understood that, but now I mean
No.
it doesn't matter anymore. That's all gone. You can't sit above everyone, and I think they wield that as a sword because they were the ones that disproportionately got it, and now you have
Right.
Elon saying, "Well, that's all gone now. I am going to make you pay for
Yeah.
that. Literally make you pay for it." Which
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
now, I wonder how many people are going to buy that. That's going to be the interesting part, I think, to me.
You know, that'll be a really good question because it's going to be
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I can't. It's going to be like that. Oh, I can't support Elon.
Yes.
Then
Yeah.
how do I maintain? How do I maintain my control? Kind of deal.
Exactly. And yeah, exactly. How do I maintain my control? One of the funniest things too that I found is this is just another point that I wanted to hit on is the fact that they are all talking about going to a different platform.
Oh my god.
And and everyone's like, "Well, what other platform is there?" And it's so
Yeah.
this is so funny because this is now biting them in the ass because
Yeah.
for the longest time Twitter, people on Twitter were able to dogpile and ban people and say, "Oh, well, if you don't like it, just go to another platform." Well, in
Right.
reality, if you want to interact on Twitter, Twitter is the social platform. There's no other.
Right.
But now the tables are turned and they're scrambling saying, "Well, where are we going to go? Where are we going to go?" Oh, there's no other, there's nowhere else.
There's nowhere else, right?
There's nowhere else. This is the digital town square, the public square. I mean,
Truly.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I find that funny that it's now turned around on them and they're like, "Oh, we got to find an alternate platform." And everyone's like, "Oh, there is none." And everyone's just like scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. And it's like, this is the problem that the right had forever.
Yeah, that was the whole thing with
Yeah.
the issues, like who was censored, who was verified, who wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh, well, just start your own thing. Well, okay, I will. And now it's the same exact stuff.
Yes.
And really, in reality, is all Elon is saying. He's not. I think he's trying to do away with the censorship. I think he's doing, trying to be more constructive with where the conversation is, what's going on. Instead of just saying, "Oh, you know what, Trump is bad. Let's just ban the sitting president of the United States." Meanwhile,
Yeah.
I think Al Qaeda or one of them still has an active Twitter account.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me, and I think that he recognizes that, and I think he's like Joe Rogan in the sense that now Joe Rogan's gotten a little more right.
Sure,
in the last like
absolutely.
maybe a year or so, but Rogan's just like, okay, what's fair, what's balanced, where are we going? Why can't I hear everything and then reject it on my own? Instead of you telling me that I should reject it before I even hear it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that I think that's I want to say it's healthy. I want to say it's a healthy to have a discourse, but
Sure.
but still keep the terms of service. Like, obviously you can't say, "Hey, I'm going to come and beat you over the head in Minecraft." I'm going to come to your house in Minecraft and beat you over the head because I don't like your opinion. Right. Obviously that should not be allowed. You shouldn't be able to threaten violence. That's like the main line. But all else should be free and open in the free. Everyone likes to say the free marketplace of ideas. That's kind of become like a meme now. But yeah, in the free marketplace of ideas, just be able to have a discourse. If someone says something you don't like, then go after them. Go, attack them with your opinion or your facts and logic. Go for it. It's no longer. It's no longer, "Oh, what you says offends me," because back in the old Twitter, you could say something like, now I would never say this. This is something that would never come out of my mouth. But if you said that biologically born men cannot transition and become female athletes,
right?
You know what I mean? And you'd probably get banned. You'd get banned for that. It would be transphobic. You'd be attacked and all this immediately. But now that stuff is going to be allowed, and you could have a discourse about it. You could actually talk about, "Oh, let's." There's much more constructive stuff that could, and that's just one example. It's not just like, "Oh, you're transphobic." It's like, no, well, let's fucking sit down and talk about this.
Yes, exactly.
The testosterone, the bone structure, all that. You could argue about all this stuff, and I've heard it from both sides constantly. But anyway, that's just I'm not gonna debate about that. But that's just an example that you could
Yes,
you could
no,
you know
100%,
you could have a back and forth about, and then people could decide
yeah.
what they think is right.
Right, like that was the hill that a lot of people seem to be dying on
Yeah.
lately. So it's like, all right, well, instead of just everybody just relax for a moment, this is why, maybe,
Yeah.
or maybe consider this,
Yeah,
maybe consider, whatever it is,
exactly. Let's take a look at what's happening. So yeah, I think in the end, I think this will be a good thing. I don't think everything's gonna blow up and go. The world's not gonna catch on fire. Everything's gonna be okay. Let's all just chill and see what happens. Think
100%.
what you want about Elon, but I think the fact that we could go towards a platform that is slightly less moderated, I think is a good thing.
Mm.
So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, that's just something I want to get off my chest there. So hey, Dixon, I know you used to have a Twitter handle, so maybe you could get back on now that Elon's purchased it.
It's not a bad idea. I don't see it happening, and I will tell you this.
Okay.
I'm on the Truth Social. I'm on the Parlay. I'm on these different things.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're the answer. I think that either one is just such nonsense on both sides.
Yeah.
It's just, it'll be good to have, if I had a Twitter handle, maybe I should, just to have the idea of, okay, what is everybody saying, in reality?
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know. It's just, it is what it is.
That's what I want. I remember in an earlier episode, we wanted to get Truth Social. Remember, we were like 800,000 people line or something like that. But then I go on there and it's all the same side, and I'm like, I don't want this. I don't want to see this. This is just it's an echo chamber, just like Twitter was. So what are we getting here? What's going on? We're separating more. No one's having a dialogue. It's like, it's frustrating, and I think Elon probably sees that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's probably where we're going here, and hopefully, Twitter sphere will improve.
God, I hope so.
What was I looking for the other day? I typed in something, and it was a tweet. It was the link I wanted was in a tweet, so I clicked on the tweet, and then I went through, I just scrolled below. I thought maybe it was related to what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And it was just these completely, once again, these baseless takes. And I'm like, what? I really don't miss this.
Exactly.
It's like, oh God. So, but we'll see how it goes. You never know. Maybe things will become a little bit more tolerant as Elon progresses.
I hope so. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, guys. So that was the Phase 4 episode. We'll rant at the end, and we're glad you stuck with us. So hey, how about you comment down below? What's your favorite Bob Dylan song? What do you like about him? Anything Bob Dylan? Comment down below. And thank you for sticking with us through our 4-part series. We really appreciate it.
Peace.